Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, August 4th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again is Bijan. How are you making out?
Woo! Konnichiwa, everyone! Oh, I am back. I'm feeling great. Fantastic times, like in Japan, man. I gotta say, dream come true for me. It was an absolute dream come true. I've always loved Japanese culture, and I don't know. I was so thankful to have gone there and, experience the culture. Everybody there was so nice, man. Like, we went to the Square Enix, cafe thing. And as soon as we go in, all of the local other people that were eating there, they're all just I don't know. I guess I kind of looked like a foreigner for, obvious
right.
reasons. And everybody's like, hey, you want to try this? You want to try that? And they're all asking me questions. It was really dope. Yeah, they actually had some Sasuke stuff out there, ninja stuff. I was like, oh, man, that's dope. And I was, taking pictures with it. Yeah, but all around, it was an absolute blast of a trip. Super fun. I don't want to, belabor it too much, but it was amazing. And special shout out to my amazing girlfriend, Sarah Bain. She's the love of my life. And she was the trooper of all troopers out there because we were literally waking up at 5 a.m. each day, and we would be out till 11 p.m. each night. And it was so much walking. The total on the average step count on our Fitbits were 23,000 steps. Those of you guys with fitness trackers know that was quite a bit of a toll for 2 weeks each day doing that.
So, anybody that's watching your Instagram knows it was very action-packed. You had so much on there. I couldn't believe the variety of things, right? It was not very repetitive. It was like, well, where are they at today? What's going on today? So if you get a chance, go check it out. Bijan151, you can get a taste of what it's like to visit Japan.
Yeah, I still have a whole nother week of the trip left to post because I am a little backdated. Because once again, we'd get back to the hotel room. I am knocking out of sleep. So I'm finally getting to posting these things. One thing, though, man, is if you guys want to know my commitment to this podcast, literally, we just spent about 26 hours in the air flying back home to San Diego, right, from Japan, with 3 layovers. So it was quite an experience.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I know. It was brutal, but and turbulence and everything. I come back home. I knock out of sleep. I wake up. First thing I do is load up American Ninja Warrior, watch it, call Rich over, and we are recording right now. I am literally as fresh from Japan as possible. I don't think I've even talked to my parents yet.
That's hilarious. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. So we are watching it kind of late in the week here because we were just trying to make sure, we waited till Bijan was back so we could get that sultry tones back into the podcast, even though it was very nice. Very appreciate DJ Taipan's joining me last week. Did a fantastic job.
Bro, he was so good. Yeah. Special shout out DJ Tight Pants. By the way, I listened to half the episode of your guys' episode last week because, what do you call it? I kind of want to watch the American Ninja Warrior episode first, right? Everything you guys are talking about really interesting with the whole Fallout thing. And I don't know. I want to check it all out. Obviously, I didn't have a chance to watch it. Japan, foreign, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't stream it. I didn't have a way. Yeah. I can't wait to watch that, and I can't wait to listen back to the podcast, the full thing. But everything I was hearing, man, DJ's got an amazing backstory. I'm shocked they didn't feature it on the show, And, yeah, just, what do you say? He had 2 open heart surgeries? Or,
4.
More than
4.
that, right?
And 4. I feel bad. Listening back, actually, I owe him an apology because I was so focused, and I'm used to having you on when we have a third person, so that you end up asking a lot of the questions while I'm kind of organizing and trying to make sure we stay on track, that I totally blew past his story. Other than, we to hear about his surgeries, but didn't ask how he did in Minneapolis, didn't ask any of those questions. So I'm very, very sorry. I posted his application video in the last one. You should definitely check that out if you'd like to see more about him. And yeah, we'll have to have him back sometime because I felt bad that he didn't get to meet you as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to talk to the dude. And just once again, special shout out DJ. He did a fantastic job holding down the fort. He was great. I mean, if anything happens to me and just like, I'm sayonara, whatever, he is a perfect replacement because that dude was awesome. I gotta say, I'm really glad that he was able to tell his story, at least on the podcast, and I look forward to him. I have a feeling he's going to be trying again for ANW, and if he goes super far, I have a feeling he's going to get one of those like extra long, dramatic videos with him looking out in the sunset and blah blah blah. I'm sure it's all there for him, So really looking forward to that. And once again, special shout out. It was really good. Also, by the way, dude, Ridge, you were laying it down last week, man. You were amping up the energy. It was really good on you. Cause yeah,
I tried. You've got tough shoes to fill, man. I knew it was going to be, both of us together might be able to bring the energy a little bit more. But yeah, no, you're definitely missed. Very glad to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all around for everybody last week, and yeah, let's do it, man.
So this week, to actually introduce the episode here, we're going to be talking about the Miami finals, if it wasn't clear. Interesting course, interesting results, good episode overall. Were you happy to get back to ANW?
Yeah, I don't know. I was worried that I'd be grouchy after, just being in the air forever and not getting sleep. But I really enjoyed this. I actually found myself really enthralled in it. Like, I really wanted to kind of skim through it because I was so worried, like, it's late for you, Rich. But I couldn't skip anything because the episode was so good. Like, I was really genuinely shocked because it has, like, really the highest of high ninjas, right, in this episode. But then it's kind of like a drop-off in terms of, like, names. There's not a lot of names. But the people that were featured on the episode really had interesting stories, and more importantly than that, had very good, enthralling runs. It wasn't just the same run over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, Eddy Stewart was captivating, but we'll get to that as the episode progresses.
You just had to go there.
So
I had people online asking, like, if I was so happy that he fell. I'm like, no, man. Like, dude's like, He cares about the sport and everything. Yeah. I hate his edit, but that's a different thing.
Right. So let's take a look at the course here first. The new obstacle that we had was the crazy clocks, and I liked it. I thought it was a really good, different, interesting obstacle. Very tough, too. You can see them really straining on it. What'd you think of it?
Yeah. It was interesting. It's one of those obstacles where you don't... I instantly when I saw it, I'm like, that looks strange. That's awkward movements and very awkward way of like doing like using your arm muscles, right? And your shoulders and blah, blah, blah. I'm not a physical therapist. I don't know. But what I do know is, the middle portion was the interesting one because from initial looks, it just looks like a loop. But what you're not seeing, or at least I didn't see till about halfway, is there's plexiglass in the middle. And they're actually very small handholds. When you look very carefully, people were only able to grip it by their first knuckle, or I'd say like the first two knuckles, right? So you can't get like a full-on grab of that thing. Basically, your fingertips, you're holding on to that. By that point of the course, your fingers are pretty much worn out, let alone your hands and everything else. So that was really interesting. And the way it goes into the final portion of that obstacle, where it's this crazy thing where it almost seems like the axes, right, of the two clock hands are almost looser, right, man? And the fact that you have to basically do it all in one big stride. I mean, that thing's so awesome. And if it's at an angle, right?
Yeah, it's tilted up, which makes it a lot more difficult, I would think. And I missed that part in the middle. Like you said, the plexiglass, I didn't notice that at all. That's really cool. So they had like very little ledge because it was an odd portion in the middle. It didn't seem to match with the rest of it. Mm-hmm. It kind of stuck out to me in that way. But now that you say that, I see that it's not just a handhold for them in the middle. It's actually got some difficulty to it as well.
Yeah, so all around, I mean, I love it by the fact that it's got all these minute details in it. I mean, it really makes a big difference, and I don't know, big thumbs up all around.
Oh, what did you think of the slippery summit? So they said they made it more difficult by putting more cleats on it. Is this them defying gravity again? Because to me, more cleats means like training wheels a little bit, right? Like there's less distance for you to slide. It's a little bit easier, not harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can take it one or two ways, right? The more steps that you take, it makes it easier, like less chances of really overblowing yourself, but it is more jumps up, right? That said, really going through it in my head, I have to imagine it does make it easier. If you are trying to skip, though, and really go for broke and, like, really, like, skip 2 rungs, then, yeah, you're going to have a harder time. But, I mean, how many people are really going to do that? So, I don't know. I see it both ways because you're spending... If you're going those small little strides, right, you're spending more time on that obstacle at that awkward angle. But I don't know. I feel like this is just one of those... these obstacles that, yeah, you're going to get through it, but it'll wear you out more. So it makes the later obstacles more difficult.
Right. There's more movement. I mean, I didn't mean to imply that doing all of the cleats would be easier because it's definitely not going to be as more movements to do. I just meant that it's a little more forgiving, right? If you try to skip past them, you're not going to slide as far back. I think it makes it a little easier overall, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's take a look at the runs here. Because the first guy to take the course, an absolute monster of a man, Michael Johnson, who has ice in his veins, but thankfully spared us from that saying this time around.
So thankful.
I
don't know. They were really kind of telling like the same story that he had before, but they just, it was more of a reminder. So I'm cool with that. It wasn't just reiterating the same points over and over again with this sappy story. It was really just like, hey, this is me. If you forgot who I am, here we go. And they, as you said, they spared the whole ice and veins thing. So all around, all I could remember about this guy is his physique. Dude is just a complete unit.
Yeah. He ended up falling on the dismount of the slippery summit in qualifiers, but beat it this time with a very long dismount that I didn't think he was going to make. And it seemed like Akbar was like doubting everyone that was trying to dismount from the summit this episode.
Akbar did not want people going too early on that thing.
He went out in the first transition on the clocks, but a good run and great ninja. I like this guy. He's got a great story. I liked his little segment with his family. It was just the right touch of feeling like you know him a little bit better without hamming it up too much.
Yeah, it wasn't overwrought or anything like that. And for the most part, I mean, he really showed off the full course of what we were going to see this episode. I'm really liking their approach of like having the first runner go like decently well into the course and show off like why I guess all the obstacles can be difficult.
Especially as we learned in the fast forward that came up after this, Lindsay Eskildsen falling on the cannonball drop, which I thought was going to be an anomaly. I thought, wow, that's unusual for someone to fall on cannonball drop in the finals.
Oh,
what
I'm
happened?
Shocked, man. From what I remember, at least seeing it live, cannonball drop was the big ninja killer. And I was stunned that they didn't bring it back to at least LA, this year. Because, like, my training, I was on a cannonball the whole damn time. I was like, all right, I'm not going to be that guy. I was that guy in a different way. But, but like, that cannonball drop is really scary. And cannonballs in general, unless you're, like, grabbing onto it, it's really hard to get a good feel of how difficult and wide those things are. But those drops, man, I mean, I just don't know how many ninjas can train for that.
Yeah, what I thought was odd this episode, and maybe it was just me, it didn't seem like it was as steeply angled as it usually is. Usually they get a good pace going down, and it kind of flings them off at the bottom. This one seemed to be slowing down by the bottom, and looked like the dismount from the thing was very difficult and screwed up a few people.
Yeah, it's very much the feel of, I guess, a lot of these second obstacles that's been part of recent years, right? Where the second obstacle, it seems to be a slanted angle type of obstacle, or at least a transition obstacle, but you only get one chance really to get off that thing. That was definitely the story in the LA qualifiers this year with that, whatever the heck it's called, the crayon. basically, if you don't jump off that thing, the first like slide that it does, chances of getting off that thing are very, very difficult. I think they purposely want you to keep moving. I think in years past, they felt like the second obstacle was the slow point where people would just like stop, hold on, and start swinging, right? And I think they don't want that. So I think it's just keep it moving, keep it clicking.
All right, and moving along to keep it moving, keep it clicking here, we had Drew Hendry, who dealing with infertility problems, actually a very touching story. They had a baby girl one day after competing last year. In a very genius stroke of self-promotion and making sure that you get on the show again, had the ANW blanket in the hospital with them. Very, very smart thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Baby was super cute. And, you know, more than even his story, it's his wife's story. I mean, she went out there that much deep into labor or like into pregnancy and then like went into labor as soon as they arrived home. I mean, talk about like a span of 2 weeks or actually really even after the birth, right? So probably a span of like 6 months of this poor woman, man, just like no sleep, all the kind of stress in the world.
Yeah. And if he's any kind of a man, he was up there for those 6 months as well. But in this case, his task was to beat the course. He was able to beat the Slippery Summit this time. He got his first wall in his third year, which is great, and ended up going out on the start of the clocks. But a new record for him on the course. Very happy for him.
Yeah, good for him. They seem like a really happy, like great family. Speaking
of, after that we had Jessica Clayton, and this kind of circles back to your point of you need to transition off of that cannonball right away, or you have some problems.
Oh, man, as soon as she held on, I knew. Like, did you think she was actually going to get off of it? I mean, she got close, but...
She did way better than I thought she was going to. As soon as she didn't let go, I was like, well, how long is this going to take? And, man, she almost did it. I would have been really impressed if she managed to get off of there.
Yeah, same here, because I could probably count on one hand, like, the amount of times somebody's, like, stopped on an obstacle like that and actually was able to, like, swing themselves over and actually continue on the course. Yeah, I feel bad for her because she had such a great story. We're going to see her again. And from what I understand, her and her family are doing better. So at least we are able to get the main portion of her story and what she was presenting to us in the previous episode. And now This episode is kind of like, she tried, but, she failed. But it was more of a slap of the mind. Like it was a mental error more than she just couldn't physically do it.
If anything, she showed how strong she is by the struggle and the attempt to get off of there, right?
So like a cannonball.
That looked tough. And Jessica Clayton's done amazing well in National Ninja League, so I'm sure we'll see her back. This season was about getting introduced to her, and next season we'll see how far she can go.
Yeah. It's always that sophomore year, everyone. Sophomore year is when people do well. Most of the time.
And next up, we had RJ Roman, a bass player, self-taught in a metal band. Very interesting guy.
I really like this guy. I really like his story. And it's just so different from everything else. Like, I don't know. At a certain point, especially like this point in usual American Ninja Warrior seasons, we get the same story over and over and over again. This guy, it's sad to a point, but they don't belabor the sad parts, and they easily could have. It was more about him. It was more about him building himself up, overcoming his obstacles, and just being like a positive, good dude. And the fact that they show him like rocking out, being just completely different from a lot of the ninjas that we see. I mean, I really like this guy and everything that he's presenting. And they didn't say the welcome or anything like that.
Yeah, a good solid segment from him. And a good solid run. He got his first wall, but he couldn't hold on to the middle part of the crazy clocks. And now that you've given a little bit better of understanding, I see why. I see why that was tripping some people up.
Yeah, man. I mean, that finger strength. It's strange, though. You kind of think the bass player would have that finger strength, but
now you say that, yeah.
but for real, I don't know how much this guy's been training. He's trained at least, but you don't know to what extent of how he's training. I really like his family, though. Like, dude, his twin brother was in tears, man. Like, I feel like his family was like as dedicated to this whole thing as he was. It was cool. I really want to see them back. I kind of want to see his twin brother run also.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. Did they say he did ninja, or you're just speculating?
No, in his training, like in his video montage, we saw him like doing the wing nuts and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Next up is the highly anticipated run of Eddy Stewart, the firefighter, the left-right double-double guy that, I mean, I couldn't believe it. After all we've said about this guy in the past, and like you said earlier in the episode, I don't hold it against him necessarily. I mean, I'd do whatever it takes to get on the show, too. Like, I get it. And maybe it's funny to some people. Some people did seem to like it in the little segments there.
Okay, we gotta hang on. Well, finish your point, but we gotta go back to that segment thing.
Oh yeah, we're not skipping past this segment yet. So he's bouncing away his pecs. For those that didn't see it or don't remember, I don't know how you could forget. And they refer back to their previous segments in previous years and how it's kind of made him. It's his thing. It's like, don't be proud of that. Don't push that as a good thing. You guys are killing us here. But at least I thought, at least he's a good ninja. Like we've really seen him do well on the show, and I thought he's got a big segment here. He must do really well. I was excited for him. I honestly was truly excited to see how well he did. I'll let you take it from there.
Honestly, I very much have this mindset of it's not the competitor that I take it out on. It's more of the way they're presented, their edit and everything like that, right? And for this poor guy, he's just they fell in love with his booby bounce thing, and it's so cringeworthy. I feel like maybe 15% of the audience like found it funny the first time he did it. But they kept doing it over and over and over again and making it a point. And last year was like where it was really too much, like really bad. Where it was like classes and like a bunch of people, like what was he teaching people to bounce? Like, it.
Yeah.
And it's just like anybody that understands the details of like how to do that, there's not a class for that. There's a weight set for it. It's called an incline bench press, but that's literally that. Like there's no weird. Everybody knows how to do it if you whatever. Anyways. The main thing is that I know this guy's very passionate about the sport. We've seen the guy train. We see him like really like take on this mantra of who he is. So, I don't wish ill upon this guy. And I felt like going into this with the video, I'm like, I was so prepared to hate it. But they just showed it wasn't really about him. They weren't like showing him doing it in front of a bunch of people or being like, hey, old guy, here, let me show you how to bounce boobs. It's like, no, that doesn't work. You ain't going to be able to do it. Right. Instead, they showed like 3 ninjas that, are very, pec heavy that can do it. But then, I mean, I just want to be a fly on the wall of this interview segment where they actually ask Megan Martin if she can do the pec bounce, and I'm trying to be nice of not the other word, right? The right. Pec bounce. And everything about that, if you really think about what they're asking, Megan Martin, woman, it's like, did you really just ask her to do that? Like, do you understand what that entails? And luckily, she was very nice about it. She laughed it off, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to do that for you, creeper pervert dude behind the camera. Whoever asked her that." But
she said, "I can't do that, and I won't do that." I don't think it's that she can't. I think it's that she won't. Yeah. Rightfully so.
Like, wow, man. I really want to be a fly on the wall of, like, how awkward that was. And, like, who on earth... Like, I want to know how that question was worded.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that, and I don't know why they would leave it in the episode. I mean, it's kind of funny, and I know I've already gotten tweets, people thinking it was funny. I don't know. I don't think it was appropriate for a kid. Maybe it's not. It's overstating it a little bit, but it was a little cringeworthy.
Let's get real. If she did do it, right? If she can do it and did do it, and they showed it on national television on this children's show. Like, is that really, like, that's not, I don't want to be, like, I very much have respect for the female ninjas on American Ninja Warrior. And I'm not trying to start controversy. Please don't take it that way. But I'm just saying, I don't want to have Megan Martin presented in that way doing stuff like that. The same argument could be said, hey, the guys are doing it, and they're sexualizing the guys, right? So I understand the other side of the argument. I'm just saying, I don't need that.
You've been on that side of the argument. I remember very distinctly last year, you got very passionate about it with Eddy Stewart's segment. You said, and I thought it was actually a very good point, is like, you're treating, why are you sexualizing the ninjas? You don't treat the women that way. You shouldn't be treating the men that way either. That's not something we want to see. And you said it was your, oh, how did you phrase it again? I'll cut in your segment right here.
Double shame on them. Sexualizing men. You don't sexualize the female ninjas on this show, and I would be super angry if you did. Why are you shaming us men, huh? Why are you sexualizing us men? Why can't we have an under-sexualized show? I don't need this on my television screen. This is horse habs level. Not needed. Shame, shame, shame. Oh my God, shame.
So yeah, it's definitely something I took issue with. A little funnier. Like you said, it was a little bit better take on it to have the other ninjas do it. That was a little funny. That was a little more entertaining than the crazy class thing they did last year. I'll give them that.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, I feel like we're blaming the point. It's not a controversy. It's not a big thing. It's just, it was interesting, and I think it was worth discussion. But no point of, like, calm down the pitchforks and everything like that, guys. Calm down the pitchforks, everyone. It's not serious.
But his run, I thought, I like I said, I was excited for his run. I thought, he must have did really well for them to bring him back in segment like this again.
Yeah.
But he got turned around and fell in the cannonball drop. I'm like, what is going on with cannonball drop already in this episode? And then it got like crazy as it went along.
Yeah, man, that thing's no joke. No joke. And maybe that's why they had it as a second obstacle in the finals. I mean, finally an obstacle that's not nerfed, but like, hey, I feel like this was way harder than the other one they had. I really feel bad for Eddy Stewart. I knew that he trains hard for it, and that's just not the way you want anybody to go. I guess we'll see him next year. Hopefully he can do something different. Like, come on, man. Give us something else.
Yeah, and you know who I felt even worse for? Probably one of the most shocking falls of the season for me. Completely caught me off guard. They really bait and switched me here because after seeing Eddy fall, and then they showed Devin Harrelson with his very touching, very emotional segment with his friend who died in the car accident. The toy on top of the cross, like, instantly had me completely rocked. Him crying, it was like very, very emotional. I was like, okay, so the Eddy Stewart thing was to kind of lighten the tone a little before, like to kind of provide that counterbalance. I was like, let's see how Dougie Fresh does, like Devin Harrelson. Let's see him take the course. And when he fell on Cannonball Drop, completely blew me away. I had no idea that was coming.
He didn't either. I mean, dude lost it. I mean, the passion. I mean, it's one of those things, once again, not a good look. Not a good look, having a temper tantrum in the water, but you understand the emotion and the passion. He really, really wanted to do well for his friend. So at the very least, there is some preamble and context of why he was acting the way he did. Just going back to the story, though, devastated me. I mean, I've had a good friend of mine pass away from a drunk driving accident, the other person drinking. And it's just, I don't know the context of how his friend died, but any car accident, and it's more, I appreciate the fact that they included the widow, his friend's wife, as much as Dougie Fresh, because in most ways it's her story, and I just, all around, I appreciated everything they presented there. And yeah, I don't know, I just wish everybody involved the best. I mean, this is a show, it's fun and everything, but there's some real life stuff, and I'm glad at least they're able to, I guess, honor his friend, right? They showed his picture, his name, and, at least the world got to see a little bit of him.
Yeah. It was a really moving story, and I think they purposely sandwiched it between some very uplifting stories, I guess, or at least a little more lighthearted ones.
Yeah.
after that, because we had one of the highlights of the episode, we had Ryan Stratus and Brett Sims in the beard off contest that they've got going.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's such a genius move. Makes it infinitely more entertaining to watch them run. As great as it is to watch them, Ryan normally, knowing that his beard is on the line just makes it that much, a little bit of fun to go with it. And, he is like one of the best ninjas to watch run the course. He has so much passion. He has so much emotion in his face. You can see the struggle every second he's on that course. I could watch him all day. He's probably one of the best ones to watch do it. I got to see him live in that epic run in Philly a couple years ago. That was very cool. Yeah. We joined a mid-run, and we got to see him on the clocks, and we learned that it was, it had to go upwards on that second clock, and we saw him beat it. It was just absolutely fantastic. Like, did you think at that point he was going to make it through?
Honestly, I felt like he was capable of doing it, but I didn't know his shoulder. Like, I appreciate the fact that his shoulder is part of the storyline now, and just adds a little bit more drama to him. But more than anything else, I mean, the drama thing, I just got to go back to the fact that I really appreciate this thing that a lot of ninjas are doing, or not a lot of ninjas, but some ninjas are doing this season, where they're adding stakes to their runs. A lot of people aren't going to like this comparison, but it almost makes it like kind of WWE wrestling-ish, where we see the same thing over and over again. A bunch of ninjas, hundreds of ninjas, going on this crazy obstacle course show, trying to take on the ultimate challenge of completing these obstacles, right? But within that, if we see the same ninjas year after year after year doing well, as we've seen in the edits of them being fast-forwarded, you need like sub-stories. And for years, the whole main sub-story has always been the vignettes, and that's it. But now we have some context of like different, like there's bets, there's other things on the line. We saw in former episode, Matt and Akbar having to eat a bug if the guy gets through the whole course, things like that add drama and just make it fun for the viewers at home. Like, are they going to make it? We're going to see something come from this. With these two guys, unless they both win the entire show, one of those beards is coming off. So I just really appreciate that, and it just makes it the whole, like, all around more fun. In particular for Ryan Stratus. Guy has so much passion, and just, I don't know, he was really struggling, or not struggling, but just like grimacing the whole time, and that just makes it so fun to see. And I was so incredibly happy for this guy, because just a reminder, everyone, this guy's competed on every single season of American Ninja Warrior. He's one of the few. I think there's like 5 guys, right, that's done it. He's one, and just to see him get to the top, and you just see him so like ecstatic and happy. I mean, I felt so happy for him. And I don't know, but I have a feeling the fact that there were major stakes on the line, it pushed him, just gave him that extra nudge of not giving up or just like persevering through a little bit more.
Yeah, and we got to see him beat the stair hopper, which I honestly didn't know that he would be able to do. I remember seeing how many people fell on it. Even, some of the best ninjas out there, we saw them fall on the stair hopper in Philly. Very, very tough obstacle, but he managed to beat it. Like you said, in spite of his shoulder pain, he pushed through. And at that point, Grace grabs Brett's beard and says bye to it. It was great.
I love how wives are like, you're not going to do that, but we'll get
so encouraging.
We'll get to it later, but I'm happy that it continues. Rich, who do you think's going to ultimately get the furthest between these two?
Oh, I think Ryan's got it.
You think it's Ryan? Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's Ryan, but never doubt Brett Sims, because Brett actually is very, very good when it comes to the first stage in Vegas. I think Brett tends to falter a little bit more in stage 2, but when you look at the 2, I feel like Ryan Stratus is going to do better for stages 2. I don't know if he's going to do as well in stage 1. So keep that in mind, everyone. Just keep an eye out for that. Also, Rich, just thinking, we both have beards. We gotta find a competition. We'll see who's gonna show off the chin between us
Oh, geez. Maybe we'll make that for our 200th episode. We'll have to come up with something.
Yeah. Nobody needs to see me without a beard. Let's just say that, Go back to my pictures when I was like 23 and you can see that and you'll be like, yeah. Keep the beard. I'm sure you're the same, right, bro?
No, I end up taking it off for Halloween a lot of times, so it's not a big deal for me to shave it off. It grows back in about a week.
Yeah, same here. It's Persian blood with me.
But Ryan ended up beating the whole course. His first city finals finish. He looked very excited, very happy to get a finisher's badge for the first time in a while. Very happy for him. I think it was great. I don't know what they did to the courses, if they made them easier or if they... I think in my theory is that they're as difficult as last year. They just didn't ramp up the difficulty this year, right? They've finally just let it be and let's have a few more finishers for once. This episode was actually on the low side, but we've been having a lot more overall for the season, and I think it's a good change.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, I don't like the fact that they're nerfing obstacles within the episode or within the course.
Yeah, I kind of don't like that part of it.
Yeah, but as you said, it is nice seeing I would say a moderate amount of successful finishers, right? I don't want it to be everybody finishing, but man, if you think back to last year and the year before, we'd have one or two finishers each episode. Yeah. So I'm not going to complain.
Some episodes, that's the thing. For the whole season, I think we had 7 or something. It was ridiculously low.
Yeah. So I think this is I don't know. I feel like the fact that they nerfed the final obstacle, because I'm sorry, I just don't think the last obstacle, and I forget its name, that spider climb thing, I don't think it's at the same level as that crazy invisible ladder type thing before. I think they could have kept the other obstacles not nerfed and just nerfed that final one.
Yeah, and maybe that is the big change, because we've had, over the last few seasons, a lot of people fail on that final obstacle. Right? How many times do we see people go out on the invisible ladder and the, whatever it was called? I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But those obstacles took out a lot of engines. If we didn't have a difficult or that extreme of a difficult last obstacle, we would have had Jesse Graff finishing. We would have had Flip Rodriguez finishing multiple times. Mm-hmm. Next up, one of our favorite ninjas, Neil Crazy Craver, takes the course, who has moved from doing fire training to doing ice training in what continues to be some of the most entertaining videos, segments, whatever you want to call them. He just instantly captures you. He's got an eye for the dramatic, which is not too surprising.
Almost like he's an artist.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He knows how to stage it, and he stages it so well.
Yeah, man. It's pretty dope. I want to know how he set that whole thing up. Obviously, it was filmed a certain way, and, those ice blocks are modeled a certain way where, he wasn't making that. I 100% don't believe that. It was all done in one shoot, probably in an hour. But, I'm just curious how that the whole thing was set up and planned. Really cool. And as you said, I mean, it takes a lot of, fortitude and, mental thinking to set something up like that, and good on him.
Yeah, great segment. He was really struggling on the course, though. He was looking very winded. He ended up going out on the middle of the clocks. And I was worried for him at this point because they were starting to talk about his time a lot, how long he's taking on the course. And I thought, if he's sitting on the bubble when Drew Drechsel takes the course, I'm going to lose my mind.
That would be rough.
Yeah. I thought we were having another one of those segments, and thankfully that didn't happen. But I have to say, that was where my mind was at that point. Oh, God, they're mentioning his time. That is going to come back.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I mean, he's the last of the Golden Hearts, right? He's holding down the fort because that was the story of Grant McCartney.
That's right, yeah.
And Natalie's out, so, yeah, that would have been that would have sucked, really bad. Yeah, he's got to hold down, the personality brigade. I think he did well. He was struggling, you just don't know what's going on with him. But overall, once again, he shows why he's up there and really good.
Yeah, another great run from Neil. And then we moved on to Kenny Niumatallo, whose daughter needed a kidney in past seasons, which they were able to find because of ANW, which is absolutely stunning. And he's now using this platform to find kidneys for other kids. What a great idea. I never would have thought of that. rather than move on and have it be about, his daughter and recovery and else, he decided to keep, why stop there? If it worked once, maybe it can work again. So he was running for 2 new kids, just out of the goodness of his heart. I thought it was great.
Yeah. This segment really shocked me by the fact that it really touched me. I was literally tearing up by the end of it. And I can't explain why. I really can't. It's just one of those things. Sometimes something connects with you and you weren't expecting it. And I very much respect not only him, but the production behind this and how this whole video is presented. Because it very could have easily been about him and his family. But he said, somebody out of the goodness of their heart did this for my daughter, and I'm paying it forward. And no longer was it about him. No longer was the video presented like, look at me, a good guy, paying it forward. It was about the actual 2 kids that he was paying it forward to, like presenting them, being like, look at these 2 amazing children. This kid, this boy that's super funny, super into tech and all this stuff, and the cutest little girl, I don't know. She reminds me of, like, if I have a daughter with my girlfriend who's very similar to this girl, but, like 23, like a tomboy-ish, like I could see this being my daughter, right? And it just touched me by the fact that these kids are struggling and seeing these kids having to take pills. And I don't know, like, it really touched me. And I really hope they find the help that, this guy's daughter did. And I don't know, please, if anybody at home, like, if you can, donate. It doesn't have to be, your kidney, but just be open, just be on a donor list or something, I'm on donor list. I'm on the, I forget what it is, but, the spinal fluid one. I'm on a few, and I feel like just because you're on the list doesn't mean, I think there's a big fear where it means, like, immediately people are just going to be like, like you're getting the call tomorrow and you're on the next one. It doesn't work like that. It may be years. You'll never be needed, maybe. But just being open there and ready to be there for somebody in need just makes that much of a difference.
Very well said. Very well said. Kenny did amazing on the course in addition to being an amazing person overall. He beat the clocks, and I thought, geez, he's looking strong enough to finish, and he did. He actually skipped the bottom of the stair hopper completely, jumped over the whole thing, and was able to take down the course. Absolutely phenomenal run. Fantastic to see him finish. One of only 3 finishers for the night. Kenny Niamatalo, remember the name.
Yeah, and for me, I was just very happy for him and his family. I don't know, just all around a complete win, and I was very happy to see him succeed. By the way, I forgot. Sorry, but going back, Ryan Stratis, because he was so dope, awesome, passionate, everything like that, he is the athletically profound run of the night. There we go.
Awesome.
Sorry, Kenny, but Ryan Stratis 100% got that one.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. We had a fast forward of Brett Sims after that, who also finished the course. I was so thrilled for him. I did not see that coming. I thought that was great.
It was so awesome. Why did they skip him? We had an episode of, like, people running during the commercials, people going halfway through, presenting him halfway through the course. Like, they have a story inherently built. We don't need a vignette for Brett Sims. We already know what's on the line. I really wanted to see him complete the second half of that course, being like, will he make it? Will he fall? Will his beard be on the line? Like, they had so much already built up, ready to go. They just needed that, 20 extra seconds of showing him on the course, right? Like, it wouldn't have been that much. I don't know, man. I feel like they dropped the ball on that one. They could have really presented some very fun, good TV right there.
Yeah, they started Brian's run mid-run. You could have started his, way deep into it to see, have him as he topped the wall. You don't have to give any preamble. You already gave that all. Just jump in, show him topping the wall. It's like, okay, here he is taking on the back half of the course. Can he make it through? Lickety split. You could show that, like you said, no time at all.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least the story continues. We will, but dude, if they skip both these guys during Vegas finals, it just be like, want to fast forward. Oh yeah. So Brett Sims is going to get his beard shaved off. I'm like, oh, y'all best be ready. Get that popcorn. because you're going to be hearing some stuff on this podcast. I'm just saying.
But when we returned, we had Rachel Goldstein, who had a really interesting little segment about some weddings that had happened, both hers and Jamie Ron's, and a handstand contest that she had with everybody, and it ended up being her and Drew coming down to the wire. I wonder how long that went. I'd love to know the time that those two stood like that.
Oh man,
before they actually came down.
You know, it was well over a minute. Man,
just something foolish.
Yeah. Some like unheard of inhuman number, right? Just, this is a strange thing, and I don't mean to be weird, but like my girlfriend and I were talking about it the other day. There's something about where, like, if a woman's wearing a skirt or a dress or something, and even if they're wearing shorts, it feels like you shouldn't even be like looking. Like, as soon as all the women started doing a handstand with their dresses, and they were wearing shorts on, I almost felt like I needed to look away. Is that just me, man?
I didn't feel that at all because I knew they were wearing shorts, so it didn't faze me, I guess. But I can see that. I guess so.
I don't know. Maybe it's me. I was like, oh no, like it's just I don't know. Maybe it's awkward Bijan stuff.
But it was fine. It was fine. They ended up having a controversial finish. We don't know who won. I'd love to see them do it again in Vegas, and we might get to see that.
Yeah, it sounds like they're gonna do it, man. That'll be fun. Watch them skip that too.
She ended up doing the splits coming off of Razor's Edge, which was funny because she started laughing as she did it. It was like, okay, so I guess she didn't hurt herself doing it.
Yeah. I don't know. You see me do that. It isn't gonna. I'm not gonna be laughing.
That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, you would not see a grin on my face, that's for sure. She beat the slippery slope, which was fantastic, which meant she was going on to Vegas. She ended up missing the wall twice, and I honestly, that was the one exclamation I made. The out loud like gasp was on the third attempt when she caught it with her hand. I thought she missed it. So thankfully she didn't. She didn't miss it on the third one. She ended up going out on the first clock face, but she managed to get through the salmon ladder. Like ticking all the boxes, getting showing how strong she is, hitting the back end of the course. Very, very excited to see Rachel get her due.
Yeah, she is looking the strongest I've ever seen her. She looks fantastic here. Looks like she's enjoying her time. And I was very concerned when she started struggling on the warped wall because I don't know why I did not expect that from her to like struggle there. But it could have been whatever amount of reasons. Maybe she was tired. I'm glad she was able to get up that and continue forward and show her absolutely amazing upper body strength in the salmon ladder. Sucks we didn't get to see her through the clocks, but I mean, how many people this episode actually have, right?
Yes, exactly.
So good on her. I'm very curious to see her in Vegas. I feel like she's one of the few that has a good chance of completing stage 1 in Vegas in terms of the females.
Yeah. She straight up qualified for Vegas too. In this episode, both women were in the top 15, so there was no extra people going.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Joke's on you, haters.
Kevin Carbone was fast forwarded in the next little segment. We saw him go out with his eyes closed on Cannonball Drop in what was a very strange thing to do, and even he was confused, said he's never done that before.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, my guess is it was a mental thing where he psyched himself out. I'm guessing he went later in the night, and this is a complete guess, but I'm guessing he went out later in the night, saw a bunch of people fall on that thing, and was like, hold on for your dear life, and that's all you got to focus on. Sounds like
it's a good theory. And when we returned, we had the Booty Cawthron, the booty bandwagon, take the course.
Oh, I love booty. That's a soundbite. Anyways.
We got to see him training with Furman University, the football team. Very, very cool. Such a jarring difference. 106 pounds. Him with these 300-pound football players. What an insane comparison.
How goofy was that, man? I love it. It was so dumb, so ridiculous. Just like see these giant mountains of men next to this like tiny dude. I really found it funny, and I was enjoying it. Like, were you just
I thought
like
it was a pretty genius segment. Do you think he was sitting around and was like, I really need to contrast this, right? Like, this is my thing. How do I really show off my size? Like, where's the biggest guys I can find? And it was just perfect.
Dude, all that's left is for him to like go up against a sumo wrestler, get like just murdered by these guys.
or Michael Johnson from this episode. Just have them two stand next to each other.
Yeah, now I just want to see like Tyler Yamaguchi and like Barclay Stockett like do basketball with some NBA players or something like that, you know? Just like go all out in terms of contrast.
Taking on the towers of power, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting back to Booty's run here, I loved his descent on Slippery Summit. I don't think I've seen anybody get through it as smoothly as he did. He just, like it was nothing. You see so many people struggle and like swinging all over the place and trying to carefully pick their way down and worrying with the dismount. And he just made it look like it was nothing, just floated down that back end of it. It was so crazy.
Smooth as butter.
He ended up going out on the first clock, but he is going to Vegas for the first time. So excited to see Booty there.
Yes! Go Booty! I mean, it's one of those things where Booty has the rare ability to control his body weight better than most people. Yeah, he's small and skinny and like almost draught, it seems like, but he holds whatever muscles and weight he has very well. And that's all you really need in the sport. So, you know, he's got all the tools there. The thing is that's always going to be his Achilles heel is, yeah, he controls his body weight well and has some strength, but the obstacles that involve a lot of strength, I think he's going to struggle on.
Yeah, I think that's what tripped him up on the clocks, right? He just didn't have the body weight to throw into to moving those things.
Yeah, but he got up the salmon ladder. Honestly, I very much did not think he would be able to do those either.
Never underestimate the Booty.
Yeah, Booty, though.
We had a fast forward of Morgan Moose Wright, very interesting character that we've seen before, who went out on the ring turn. And then we had two runs left, the two epic runs we were waiting for, Drew Dreshel and Jesse Graff. And I don't know what to even say.
Surprises.
There's not a whole lot to say, to be honest. Drew's run, he just makes it look so easy until he falls. Like right up to that point, you're like, well, we're just going to watch Drew complete the course. Let's just see how it was supposed to be done the whole time. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a whole lot to say. I think he was obviously disappointed. How could he not be? But he did a pretty good job of hiding it in the interview afterwards. And like he said, he's going to Vegas. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So I hope he can keep that perspective and not be too disappointed.
No, I don't think he's super upset when it comes to this one. I forget, but if it was him or somebody else. But I remember like a year or two seasons ago, like somebody was like, but are you so sad? Aren't you so disappointed and sad? Like Chrissy was like really trying to hammer it in.
It was him.
It was him. And it was like, calm down, man. So it wasn't to that extent, right? And I think he held it well, being like, yeah, but I'm moving on to Vegas, right? So what do I care? You know, it's like, I don't get a badge, but I'm still going on to Vegas. I think when it comes to Drew Dreshel and Joe Moravsky, well, more so Drew, because I feel like Joe wants to hit every buzzer he can. But I feel for Drew in particular, his ultimate goal is the $1 million. And he's still on his way to that. So I'm still happy for him. At least he's making it to Vegas. That said, this gives me a little bit of worries. You know, those mental slip-ups, they can get anybody, even the real-life ninja. More so for me, that shocked me, was Jesse Graff. And not the way that, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Drew before I move on?
No, let's move on to Jesse.
Okay, for Jesse, I low-key thought she wasn't going to complete this, make it to Vegas this year.
Just me too.
Oh, okay, because they've been downplaying her like so much, man. So I was like, okay, like she's not going to make it to Vegas, and they're going to build like it felt. How do I say this? It feels like they've been building up the next generation of female ninjas, and they're trying to like not downplay Jessie, but share the love. I don't know, because still Megan Martin's still being all up in the front of the camera, but Jessie isn't. And I was like, okay, this is where she falls. And dude, she almost fell. I thought the cannonball was like it. I was like, well, that's where she goes. But I don't know. Well, give your thoughts, man.
Yeah, to be honest, even some inside knowledge kind of had me worried about her, because they did seem to downplay her. But in addition to that, I was talking to her at the beginning of the season and trying to get her to come back on the show. I realized that I was trying to schedule a date with her during when they were recording Vegas, and I kind of pushed that off and said, oh, wait, no, that's not going to work because of Vegas. And she said, yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I was instantly like, oh, no, oh, God, like, spoilers, I didn't want to know that, but I don't know what that means. So I don't know if she went or didn't go. I think it just
means because Jesse Graff is, like, inhuman and always has time for anything. If we always bring it back, the infamous Jesse Graff time when she was on, and we felt so awful, but she was the coolest person. And what was supposed to be 1 hour of her time ended up being over 2 days, like a good 4 hours of her time. She always found a way to have time for us. And I feel like it's that again.
Yeah. And to be clear, it didn't happen. Obviously, you haven't heard her on the podcast. So it ended up being a conflict in the end. So I guess it shouldn't have been too surprising that she made it through to Vegas. And hopefully we'll get to see her there.
Yeah. Special shout out to Jesse Graff. Just going back to the run, the whole time I was waiting for her to, like, this is the moment where she falls. And she made it up the warped wall. And I'm like, and they announced, like, oh, she's going on Vegas. I'm like, what? I'm like, so why is everything around her run being like, you know, she's going to fall? Like, I don't know. Maybe I was reading too much into it. But I was genuinely not only surprised, but very happy for her. And yeah, she fell. But it wasn't because she was worn out. It was almost she was feeling so good that she just wanted to, like, fly through that final part, and it just got to her the same way it got to Drew, you know. Not overthought it, but didn't give it the respect that maybe it needed, right?
I think it was a similar problem to what we saw Drew in stage 2 last year, right? Almost too strong, coming towards the end of the obstacle where so many people struggled and just had so much strength left that she just ended up putting too much into it. It's like she said, if you're going to fall, I guess that's the way to do it, right? It's a good sign that, but a little frustrating too, right? Like she was so close. She still had the energy she needed. She could have beat the final scores. We could have had a second female completion, but we didn't get it this episode in spite of the amazing ability she has. Like just unbelievable. She ended up in 5th, right behind Drew, right? Yeah. 3 finishers, then Drew, then her. Just unbelievable. So talented.
And yeah, I feel like this is still one of the one things in her long resume she's yet to achieve. So I'm sure she really, really wanted it. But hey, I mean, good on her, and maybe you guys will hear her eventually on this podcast.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We'll try. We'll do what we can. There was one run that got skipped completely, or I didn't notice it if it was posted. Rico Rivera actually got 15th place.
Hey, Rico, the fire ninja, if you guys don't remember, you know, the guy that, like, breathes fire and does all that cool stuff.
T-Rex.
Yeah, I owe it. I'm right. Man, he's got to bring back that T-Rex. I'm sorry. That was, like, the dopest thing. I know it's so dumb, so goofy. Right. Well, I mean, that's asking a lot for Vegas. Now I think about it. I mean, if he was going to do it, what he should have done in the qualifiers, right? But
yeah, for sure.
I'm happy that at least that he's moving to Vegas.
So that was it. That was all the runs for the night. One bit of ninja news before we wrap it all up here. The UNAA finals happened a couple weeks ago, and that's in spite of the fact that they don't tell anybody about it and they don't post anything on their website. They are absolutely the worst for promoting their league. It drives me crazy.
It really is. For how many people are involved in that league, like, somebody needs to wake up over there. I'm sorry. I love UNAA and everything they present for the sport, but the way it almost feels like it's too good and it's being misrepresented. And I hate being negative, but, like, don't you feel that way, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it seems to fall down in weird ways. Like, they go through all this trouble. They get big prizes. They rent out, like, stadiums. They do all these cool things. They have so many gyms involved. But something as simple as social media, they just completely fall apart.
I don't get it, man. I mean, I'm sorry, but everybody knows the Wolfpack Ninja Tour. I mean, like, half the ninjas on this episode are running with it, and they have the dates, like, for the tour on the back of their shirts. Like, you know, they're getting that promotion, and, you know, NNL, you know, at least we get the weekly videos, you know, like, this is the reason. Like, people enjoy watching American Ninja Warrior. If you don't get to watch it, I mean, unless you're there at one of these courses, you're not going to be part of it. And that sucks.
That's a good point. NNL now has an official podcast, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, we are.
Nice.
We're now joined by what I think it's the 7th Ninja podcast now. No problem. That's all right. We're good. It's all fine here. But yeah, Chris Bolcheski and I forget the other guy's name, and another dude are doing interviews. They did Jeff Britton on Michelle Warnke. It's very good, actually.
Nice. I didn't know that. I'll have to go back and listen to them because, I really enjoy everything that NNL does. And yeah, I'm sure they're going to have, some good conversations.
Yep. It seems to be more focused. If you're a ninja athlete and you want some like tips and tricks, it seems to be really good for that. So I would highly recommend it from that perspective. Back to the UNAA for a second here. Thank you, Eddie Hilburn, for writing in and congratulations on winning the men's amateur division.
Nice.
So I've linked his runs, a couple of his runs in the show notes if you'd like to see them for yourself. It's very, very good.
So do you have the rankings of how everybody did? Eddie Hilburn won the amateur.
Yes. So rather than kind of run through them all, there are a lot of names you wouldn't recognize, but there are some you would. I just
need the winners, man.
Yeah. So here, I actually have an interesting way of doing this. I had an idea. So for the men, who do you think won out of these 4 ninjas?
Oh, I like this.
Kevin Carbone, Jake Murray, Jody Avila, or Adam Rail?
I mean, my initial instinct is Adam Rail, but I'm not going to go with him just because I feel like that's too obvious. So what were the other 3? You had Jody Avila,
Kevin Carbone, and Jake Murray.
I'm going to go Jake Murray. He's been beast moding.
Jake Murray was the winner.
Hey! That is awesome, man. Go Jake Murray.
Yes,
congratulations. That's really surprising. Or not surprising, but just because UNAA finals, I have to imagine, had all the major ninjas, right? Good on Jake Murray. Do you know if it was a speed-based course or more of a strength-based course or anything like that?
From what I remember seeing on the page, Jake went to the 11th obstacle or something. I think there was a couple of them that did. So he got the fastest time to that particular obstacle. It looks like it must have been a long course.
So it was more of a stamina, how long you can with sand doing a gauntlet of obstacles
with some speed element, obviously.
Yeah. Good on that guy, man.
Yeah, that was really cool. And Adam Rail was in 6th. Actually, Kevin Carbone was 2nd.
Kevin Carbone, man, that guy low key is legit.
Yeah.
So Kevin Carbone, he fell this episode, right?
He did. He fell. He was the guy that had his eyes closed on Cannonball Drop.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that. Just with all the context after that, then that just makes him falling that early just all more heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, it's really odd. So for the women, I got some names here for you too. Do you think the winner was Rebecca Bonilla, Rachel Brown, the Mermaid Ninja Charity LeBlanc, or Lindsay Eskelson?
Man, if Mermaid won, I'm not going with Mermaid. Eskelson, Brown, or who was the first one?
Rebecca Bonilla. And all of these,
it's got to be Bonilla or Eskelson. I'm gonna go Eskelson, but it could be who was it?
It was Bonilla. Rebecca Bonilla. Yeah. So all these people I'm listing were in the top 10, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah,
so
of course. Good on Bonilla. I feel like Eskelson and Bonilla both have some crazy level of strength and technical skill. So I can see them both doing very, very well. Good on Bonilla, man.
Yeah, and the Mermaid Ninja took 7th, so there you go.
That just astounds me in all forms of ways.
Now, granted, the costume's way over the top. The segment was really silly, but she's strong. She actually is really good. I think we have to keep an eye on her.
Yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes the character overshadows the talent of the person. And I don't know, maybe I just need to look back and what she does. Have we seen her in the finals course yet?
No, I don't know if she did make it through. I think she did make it through, didn't she? I can't remember now. I know she looked pretty good in the episode she was in.
I don't know, but yeah, if she does make it in the finals, I want to see what she does. Because at this point, I just have her context as being a character.
Right. But so was Captain NBC at one point.
Yep. And, Jesse Graff as the chicken.
True. Forgot all about that. All right. So that is it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you could, please take the time to subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review, you could get a shout out from my good friend Bijan.
Woo woo.
So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. At Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Instagram and Twitter at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. In particular, Instagram right now has got all my Japan travels and whereabouts. It's fun stuff. And yeah, good times.
All right. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Domo arigato gozaimasu.